What is up, Pokemoshpitbeta? This is TheStormPow here for another Wi-Fi battle. This was a really fun UU match. I had made a few moves that were really cocky of me because I got lucky a few times at certain points of the battle, and it really kind of made for a really fun match. I really enjoyed having this match, and as you can see on the team preview, we do share the Suicune and the Ambipom, but that is no big deal because things kind of go a little bit typical, like how he starts out with the Registeel and I start out with my Rhyperior, as you're about to see here in a second. Because that actually happens a lot in UU matches for me. Like, I don't know, everyone always wants to lead with their Rhyperior. I mean, what the fuck was I saying? Everyone wants to lead with their Registeel when they see me with my Rhyperior, and I always go for the same deal because I know that they are not going to stay in and take a fighting move, so I just take my chance to always set up rocks. And of course, he has his Suicune in here, and at this point, I'm getting a little cocky. I'm like, alright, he's not going to go straight for the Scald, because he knows I'm going to change out, right? So I'm going to change things up a little bit, and I stayed in, and I just gone for the Toxic, but unfortunately it misses, and I was like, okay, that was just a risky move that really had like no point to it. And I'd switched into my Suicune because I figured, you know, pretty obvious Scald was gonna happen, and I figured that if I was gonna get anyone burnt, I didn't want to get any of my physical attackers burnt, even though I really could have sent out my Heracross just as well since he has a Flame Orb, you know, so it really wouldn't have made a big deal at all. But I'd switched into my Suicune because I'd figured that we would sort of just have a speed test here. Because I know some Suicunes carry the HP Grass. Mine actually has HP Electric. I find it a little bit more useful personally. But that's what I had gone for against his Suicune, because I figured he would stay in. Since didn't he go for the Calm Mind a few turns ago? So I'm pretty sure, you know, I was expecting him to stay in. I didn't think, you know, my Suicune would scare him off or anything, especially my burnt Suicune. And so my HP Electric does a half-decent little bit of damage on him, and I don't know exactly why I stayed in, to be completely honest. I didn't know if maybe he was going to change out or whatever. I think I was going to go for an Ice Beam, but I was also in the mindset of like, what the fuck, my Suicune's almost useless already because of that burn. It's really kind of putting a toll on it, and so I just go for the Fake Out, which was really obvious, and I guess the stab boost was probably enough to make it to where that knocked out the Zapdos. And he sends out his Ambipom, and at this point, I had figured that he was going to go for Fake Out, right? I mean, that's like one of the most typical Ambipom setups, you know, you send out your Ambipom and whoosh, you smack that bitch with a Fake Out. So I had sent out my Chandelure, and he ended up just going for a Retaliate anyway, and I was like, okay, I mean, I was in the right ballpark, I suppose, so that's close enough for me. And he just goes for the U-turn, which was, I laughed at this because I was like, man, that U-turn, of course, didn't do shit for damage, and he gets burnt. And when an Ambipom is burnt, like, that's just a damper on an already bad situation, you know, because Ambipom isn't exactly the strongest Pokemon in the world, and then you get it burnt, so its attack gets lowered, and I'm like, dude, that Ambipom just got his day fucked up, kind of, in a few ways by my Chandelure, and I really wasn't even trying to do either of the things exactly, but, yeah, so anyway, I figured I didn't want to risk the Scald on this one because, you know, he was kind of going to go straight for it, I thought, maybe this time, and he did, and this time I had enough sense to change into my Heracross because, my Suicune was dead, so, you know, I couldn't send him out. And I, of course, didn't want to send out my Chandelure, which is my only other special attacker on my family. Why did I say family? What? Yeah, me and my Pokemon, we're a very close-knit family, you know? But, anyway, so he goes for another Scald. Doesn't do much damage at all, of course, but, I just kept going for Facades on him because I figured that was a decent way to go about it. I didn't really want to lower my defense by, going for the close combat quite yet. And I was really hoping that one Facade would be able to knock it out, which it really didn't. It did like half as much damage as I was hoping for, because I always overestimate Facade. Like, I'm always like, man, this shit's just gonna fuck some days up, you know. And he actually outspeeds me and goes for this Psychic or Psyshock or something I didn't really see, and knocks me out, unfortunately. I really kind of figured he would outspeed me, but I was like, alright, whatever. And I figured that this thing was probably choiced in some way, so he was going to change out when I sent my Honchkrow out. So I go for the Pursuit that actually knocks it out. Not sure if the crit mattered or not. I'd like to think it wouldn't, but it very well could. I'm really not aware of Azelf's defense stat. And he sends out his Victini, which is always a bad sign in any match for me. Not sure why I stayed in. Like, there were a few times in this match where I stayed in when I really should not have. But I guess I was thinking that he wouldn't go for the Fusion Bolt right off the bat, that he would expect me to change out. So I got a little cocky at that point and stayed in. But this time I didn't go for the Pursuit because I really didn't think he'd change out. I didn't think he would have much of a reason to, which he really didn't, aside from the fact that he wanted to fuck with me and, you know, resist my fake out. Even though his Victini probably could have taken it okay, it wouldn't have, like, destroyed the Victini. So he really didn't have a huge reason to stay out, to change out, and I had just gone for the low kick on his Registeel, because I think that's a pretty good move to have on Ambipom, since, you know, I'm pretty sure it's based off of the weight or whatever, and it does go very well against Registeels. And he just goes for the Thunder Wave, and he's just kind of setting stuff up. I really don't know why he decided to set up rocks at this point in the match, because, like, I don't even think any of my alive Pokemon were that weak to rocks. I can't think of any of them off the top of my head anyway. But I guess he was just wanting to do whatever he could to help me out, or to help his team out. And he sends out his burn-ass Ambipom, and he goes for the Retaliate, which doesn't do that much damage, I think, because of the burn. And I just gone for the low kick because I figured, alright, if I can get past my paralyzation, I'm going to probably do more damage than he is, you know, with him being burnt and everything. So, and he just goes for the Victini again, which I'm pretty sure is his last Pokemon on his team. He goes for the V-Create, which basically can fuck up most days of most Pokemon, you know. And I didn't figure that my Ambipom was that important, so I just left him in. I was like, alright, sorry, bitch slap, but it's time that you get slapped like a bitch at least once. You deserve it this time. And so I had gone for my Chandelure, and I'm pretty sure I outspeed him with my Scarfing-ness awesomeness. And one little Shadow Ball knocks out his Victini. And that is the end of this fight. I would like to thank you all for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and goodbye.